Welcome, everyone, as we continue to look at the inflow of energies.
Visualizing the one soul, uniting the soul of all our group members, those working with us subjectively and those joining us from the other side of the veil. In unison we sound the protective formula: uniting touch, hands, light and love, while making the sign of the cross of divinity. As the soul we work in light, Ajna Center, and darkness cannot touch us, Heart Center. We take our stand within the light, Manas. We work, and from that point we never move, Buddhi. Let's pause briefly to affirm the purity of our motive as we aspire to greater understanding of Master DK's teachings and our intention to expand our conscious service under the law of love for the good, the true, the beautiful, with the guidance of the soul and protection of the higher lives focus in the heart of our group.
As we orient, we look to an alignment to the highest levels, and at this time in particular, to the extraplanetary triangle, the cosmic forces surrounding our planetary being. And these energies moving into and through all levels. Into and through all levels, all of our groups, the 7 ashrams, as receiving agents through the Christ, and into and through the new group of world servers, as a body of spiritual agents. Let us invoke this great triangle, the point of the Lord Buddha, the Lord of Light, summoning the forces of light. Let the forces of light bring illumination to all humanity. We visualize these forces of light bringing illumination to humanity. The second point of the Great Triangle, the spirit of peace and equilibrium. And say, let the spirit of peace be spread abroad. Visualizing the spirit of peace being spread abroad through the activities of the new group of world servers. May people of goodwill everywhere meet in a spirit of cooperation. We visualize and sense the resonance of all people of goodwill everywhere meeting in this new and renewed spirit of cooperation. through the spiritual agents, the new group of world servers. May forgiveness on the part of all be the keynote at this time. We are told that forgiveness is sacrifice. Let this sacrifice on the part of all be the keynote at this time. As we visualize peace, cooperation, goodwill, and forgiveness expanding right human relations in all the kingdoms of nature. Visualize the increasing of livingness and vitality in all of God's creations. And finally, we invoke the apex of the great triangle, the avatar of synthesis, and see the energies flowing into and through the great triangle, into Shambhala, Christ and humanity. Let power attend the efforts of the great ones. Visualizing this power and hearing in a new way, developing a higher sensitivity to the resonance of this power in silence and stillness. Power attends the efforts of the great ones. These three great points, focalizing into and through Shambhala to the Christ and the hierarchy. So let it be, and help us to do our part. In the center of the will of God we stand. Naught shall deflect our will from God's will. We implement that will by love. We turn towards the field of service. As the triangle divine, we work out that will within the square and serve humanity. Radiance we are and power. We stand forever with our hands stretched out, linking the heavens and the earth, the inner world of meaning and the subtle world of glamour, Maya and illusion. We reach into the light and bring it down to meet the need. We reach into the silent place and bring from thence the gift of understanding. Thus, with the light we work and turn the darkness into day. We are told the new group of world servers bridges the telepathic interplay of the hierarchy into and through the radiatory sensitivity of humanity. So we sound together as spiritual agents of the hierarchy. In the center of all love we stand. From that center, we as soul, unified as the one world server, outward move. From that center, we, the one world server, will work. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in our hearts, through our groups, and throughout the world. As the one world server, we unite and receive direction as the plan for humanity unfolds in this, the age of Aquarius. We stand together at the midway point in anticipation, awaiting the sounding of the Christ at the full moon of Gemini, a great invocation with the united hierarchy and all servers to bring into existence and into reality the plan for humanity and the coming age. May the holy ones whose disciples we are show us the light we seek. Give us the strong aid of their compassion and their wisdom. There is a peace which passeth understanding. It abides in the hearts of those who live in the eternal. There is a power which maketh all things new. It lives and moves in those who know the self as one. May that peace brood over us, that power uplift us, till we stand where the one initiator is invoked, till we see his star shine forth. In Taurus, we sounded, I see, and when the eye is opened, all is light. We recognize our pledged discipleship. We recognize the soul, the source of love wisdom. We are learning to develop and expand and utilize the spiritual eye, where true vision appears. And we move now into Gemini. Where soul and personality, the twins, stand in the light and under the influence of the great second ray of love wisdom. Let us expand our vision. Master DK gives us instructions in terms of how to do this. Let's review those briefly.
The study of symbols conceptually carries you inward from the brain to the mind into the realm of ideas. It sweeps into focused activity the mental apparatus. You then become aware of the concept or idea which the sign or symbol embodies. You comprehend its meaning and for what it stands. You grasp the purpose for which the form has been brought into manifestation.
There is a beautiful symbol from the planetary system. This group focused on ideas, forms, and formulas for a new culture and civilization. And this particular symbol truly embodies the statement from the rays and the initiations that members of all the ray types are to be found in the new group of world servers, either through the activity of the personality ray or of the soul ray. We study this symbol, the foundation, the manifestation on the lowest level, and from that arising these ray types, the perfect symbol for us in this time of Gemini. And then rising above on the vertical plane, all the circles of activity and the manifestation of the rays in a great network.
Master DK instructs us to follow 3 steps. First, the investigation of a symbol and the consequent progress of the analyst from one progressive stage of awareness to another, to a gradual inclusion of the entire field covered by the symbol. Secondly, an intuitive perception of the symbols to be seen everywhere in the divine manifestation. Third, the use of symbols on the physical plane and their right adaptation to a seen and recognized purpose, leading to the subsequent magnetization of the symbol with the needed quality through which the idea can make its presence felt, in order that the intuited, qualified idea may find proper form on the physical plane.
Master DK gave us this particular symbol in a treatise on cosmic fire, and then throughout his teachings reminds us of some additions to this particular symbol, which was colorized, bringing it more into relationship with the descent of the vibratory power as light, and then as sound, and then color. And in Reappearance of the Christ, created for us this connection so that we understand that the avatar of synthesis, this great power, is evoking a developing synthesis with the new group of world servers ruled by Taurus. And it relates very directly to the beginning manifestation of the ashram of synthesis in this new age, the age of Aquarius.
The Ajna Center of the Lord of the World is just beginning to express itself in a recognizable manner through the new group of world servers. This intermediate group between the hierarchy and humanity is a carrier of the energy which makes the plan possible. The plan of which the hierarchy is the custodian. This plan implements the purpose, and later, when the new group of world servers is organized and is recognized as a living organism, it will definitely receive the energy from Shambhala in a direct reception via the hierarchy.
Now let us visualize that triangle, the avatar of synthesis, the hierarchy, and the new group of world servers, the Ajna Center of the planetary being.
As the externalization of the ashram proceeds, those souls upon the physical plane who are ready for enlightenment will find their way into the new group of world servers. This group will increasingly assume potent relation between the units of life within its periphery, the ashram, and humanity, rays and initiations. To see the link of pure love and of soul relation realized and utilized in group form and work is indeed new, and the attainment of this is the ideal which I set before this group of my disciples. If this group measures up to the vision as it exists in my mind, there will be established upon the physical plane focal points of specialized force through which the hierarchy can work with greater surety than heretofore. There will, through this and analogous groups, be set in motion on earth a network of spiritual energies which will facilitate the regeneration of the world. The influence of these groups, when permanently established and potently working, will have a wider objective than just the elevation of humanity. Discipleship in the New Age 1.
So let us stand and visualize this great network that is developing. All the groups, all the points of specialized force in the planetary network of triangles and the planetary network of light, through which hierarchy can work with greater surety. Strengthen your connection with each of these groups, these creative, intelligent forces for good, goodwill on our planet. Visualize new points, new beacons shining forth in the network, all enveloping spiritual energies that will facilitate the regeneration of the world. Recognize your pledged discipleship. Recognize the groups within which you work and serve. And visualize the growing network, the lights that are beginning to awaken and shine forth, ready to receive the energies from the Christ and the hierarchy in the festival of goodwill, the festival of the Christ. And that these groups, permanently established and potently working, will have an even wider objective in the service of all kingdoms in nature.
Stream or flow of ideas and ideals from the hierarchy. There is at least sensitivity to 7 groups of ideas and their resultant ideals, and if it were no more than that, the hierarchy is so far fluid and pliable. But it is far more than just this, for to the members of the hierarchy, the idea and its effects are not only interpreted in terms of human thought forms and human idealism, but they are also to be contacted and studied in their relation to the mind of God Himself and to the planetary kingdoms. These ideas come from and they emanate from the Buddhic plane, which is seldom open to the consciousness of the average disciple, and certainly is not open to the contact of the average idealist.
We recognize the hierarchy, the custodian of the plan, and envision the downflow of energy into and through the Lord of the world, into the hierarchy, the planetary heart, and through the 7 groups, as these constitute the active hierarchy, into the new group of world servers. And receiving this, activating the divine ideals on the hierarchical plane as ideas that will emerge in the new group and then can be formulated into creative activities to serve humanity. In Gemini, we're given this beautiful symbol from the planetary system to focus on, to begin to visualize how this awareness, recognition of duality can serve as a keynote for Gemini. And the 2 brothers visualized as the 2 columns. And above all is the star of Sirius. You can then use this example to focalize the rays in your group's activities that are being activated at the Festival of Goodwill and will be precipitated into the groups along ray lines to then manifest for all the kingdoms in nature. And we are part of this through our activity on the line of our personality ray and or the soul ray. All the groups in which you are actively engaging at this time and bringing that radiance into prominence and developing right human relations as we awaken soul consciousness in humanity. Catherine, would you read this for us, please? Catherine B.
The potent rhythm which animates the inner brotherhood of the Lodge of Masters will make itself felt everywhere on earth, and these groups, if successful, may be regarded as the first step towards the emergence into manifestation of the Great White Lodge. But remember this, the keynote of the Lodge is not attainment or degree. It is a stable relationship with unity of thought, plus diversity of method, diversity of effort, and diversity of function, and its quality is friendship in its purest sense.
As we reflect on this, realizing this stable relationship exists, this unity of thought exists, we can find our point of identification in the diversity of method, in the diversity of effort, and in the diversity of function, all with the quality of friendship in its purest sense. Think of your groups, the method, effort, and function, and see the alignment as the first step to identification with the Great White Lodge. Envision the will that is associated with the group and the will associated with your combination of soul and personality rays. The will to initiate of the first ray, the will to unify of the second ray, the will to evolve of the third ray, the will to harmonize of the fourth ray, the will to act of the fifth ray, the will to cause of the sixth ray, and the will to express of the second ray. bring into focus the wills of your soul and personality ray, aligned with the method, effort, function of the manifestation we each are part of, the manifestation of each of the groups, grounded in this quality of friendship in the purest sense. From this point, visualize the great band of white light tinged with blue that emerges as the group Antakarana, the bridge of light that we are building together. And this great band of white light becoming luminous, radiating energy, and the hierarchy magnetizing all into this one great band of light that we project from our individual point to the group and groups with which we work, that we may touch the Buddhic plane and become a greater part of the divine circulatory flow.
The brotherhood is a community of souls who are swept by the desire to serve, urged by a spontaneous impulse of love, illumined by a one pure light, devotedly fused and blended into groups of serving minds, and energized by one life. Its members are organized to further the plan which they consciously contact and with which they deliberately cooperate. How can I, in my small sphere, be of service to the world? Master DK says, let me reply to these questions by pointing out that by thinking this teaching into the minds of the public, by expressing before your fellow men the teaching it imparts, and by life lived in conforming with its teaching, your service is very real. Those inspired to become one of the great brotherhood, to take this first step, might begin with a pledge to honor and follow the ways of the brotherhood. We pledge to breathe, think, speak, act, live as a community of souls under the spontaneous impulse of love, illumined by one pure light. fused and blended into groups of serving minds, energized by one life, organized to serve the plan which we consciously contact, the plan with which we deliberately cooperate. We have no other life intention.
Let us identify with this pledge, and each and every moment in our group work, in all the groups we participate with, we serve, we nurture, constantly reminding ourselves that we are fused and blended into serving groups as serving minds. Martha, would you read this for us, please?
Yet not that in detail, the new group of world servers is composed of the following groups. 1. Initiates and disciples who are consciously a part of the Great White Lodge. 2. Aspirants and lesser disciples who are affiliated with the hierarchy, but who do not usually possess that continuity of consciousness, which will come later. 3. Those upon the probationary path who are not yet affiliated with the hierarchy. They are, however, subject to hierarchical impression and are determined to serve their fellow men. 4. An increasing number of people who respond to the idealism and the purpose of the new group of world servers and who will rapidly join the group.
As we find our place, first as individuals, then as groups, oriented to the new group of world servers, this gives us a sense of what we are to accomplish in whatever stage we are in relation to the new group of world servers, and gives us a reason to not respond immediately, for example, to what is said, what you think you hear from a group or from a particular individual, but to move behind what is said and even what you hear as an emotional astral component, and look and feel and hear into the essence of individuals and groups as we each develop to the closer relationship as part of the new group of world servers, where we do intend to reach this increasing number of people who respond to the idealism that each of our groups embody and the purpose of the new group of world servers as they rapidly join these groups and become aware of the unit, the subjective unit that is the new group of world servers.
Would you like me to continue, Joe?
I think I have a recording on this one. Let me try again.
Okay.
It's not sounding, so yes, please do.
It is in the aligning of the three vehicles, the physical, the emotional, and the lower mind body within the causal periphery. And they're stabilizing there by an effort of the will that the real work of the ego or higher self in any particular incarnation can be accomplished. The great thinkers of the race, the true exponents of lower mind, are fundamentally those whose three lower bodies are aligned. That is to say, those whose mental body holds the other two in circumspect alignment. When the alignment is, the mental body then is in direct communication, unobstructed and free from interference, straight through to the physical brain. We see the jewel in four planes: Buddhic, mental, astral, and etheric. The esoteric healing depiction of chakra sheaths. When the alignment is
fourfold, and when the three above-mentioned bodies are aligned with the body of the higher self, the causal or egoic body, and held steady within its circumference, then the great leaders of the race, those who emotionally and intellectually sway mankind, can be seen working. Then the inspirational writers and dreamers can bring down their inspirations and dreams. And then the synthetic and abstract thinkers can transfer their conceptions to the world of form. It is right through a question of an unimpeded channel. Study therefore in this connection, and when time permits, physical coordination. Then to physical coordination add emotional stability, and you have the two vehicles functioning as one. When the coordination extends to the mental body, the threefold lower man is reaching his apotheosis and has rung most of the changes in the world of form. The four lesser brain centers, solar plexus in the head center, splenic center in the head center, the sacral center in the head center, and the base center in the head center, are functioning at high vibration in the man of highly coordinated personality. For the average man, this alignment occurs only at intervals, in moments of stress, in hours of needed humanitarian effort, and in times of intensest aspiration. Abstraction of a more or less degree has to enter in before the ego takes continued notice of the personality or lower self. When that abstraction involves the emotions, is based in the mentality, and contacts the physical brain, then alignment is commencing.
There is so much in this teaching, and many of us are acquainted with the teachings in a treatise on white magic. I think it gives us a wonderful way to begin to receive and to note in our reception and in the group reception of the inflow of divine ideals, who among us will begin to articulate the inspirational writers and dreamers bringing down the inspiration, and the synthetic and abstract thinkers transferring their conceptions to the world of form. and for us to participate as part of an unimpeded channel. What's required of us to be part of that unimpeded channel. And to test our thoughts related to the ideas that we will then think into humanity's consciousness as the plan begins to unfold. One of a long-time student of the Tibetan put together some of the teachings on this continuity of consciousness that we can achieve. Really, it's fully at the third initiation. But let's read and begin to understand and discuss what this may mean for us.
Excuse me, Continuity of Consciousness, extracted from the Alice A. Bailey books from James G. The majority of us control our physical bodies consciously, making them carry out our behests upon the physical plane. Some of us control our emotions consciously, but very few of us can control the mind. Most of us are controlled by our desires and by our thoughts. But the time is coming when we shall consciously control our threefold lower nature. Time will then not exist for us at all. We shall have that continuity of consciousness upon the three planes of being, physical, emotional, and mental, which will enable us to live as does the Logos in that very metaphysical abstraction, the eternal now. I would like to say at this point to all of you who have remained steadfast, even if perforce inactive, that I would ask you as life proceeds and you face eventually and inevitably the discarding of the vehicle, to hold increasingly on to your knowledge of the hierarchy and thus to pass over to the other side with a complete dedication to the hierarchical plan. This is not simply a suggestion on my part. It is an attempt on my part to call to your attention the concept of a spiritual continuity of knowledge and of a rightly oriented attitude. Thus, time will not be lost. You can, if you so choose, each and all of you, attain a true continuity of consciousness, and it is one of the factors which will serve to hold this group of disciples together. A simple summary from ChatGPT. In plain terms, continuity of consciousness means being aware of who you are at soul level all the time, no matter what state you're in. Instead of waking up to your spiritual nature only in meditation or after death, you stay connected to that deeper part of you, even while going through the everyday life or transitions like sleep or dying. And also initiations was also in that as well. I'll just add that. Over.
Let's hold this notion, this idea of maintaining continuity of consciousness at the three lower levels, and then in that integrated being, striving to hold soul consciousness in a greater and greater and greater level, and to a greater and greater extent through everyday life. As we ponder on this, you may have ideas that come to you, and please unmute and share with the group. And if you would like, I can pause the recording. But if you have something that you would like to share at this point with the recording still on, please do so. Shared from the group, this continuity of consciousness is when all our human resources are in strategic alignment. Catherine P.
Oh, I was just apologizing that I'm leaving, but will do so in continuity of consciousness. Thank you all.
Thank you. Mary Gale.
Continuing continuity of consciousness. The third formula concerns time and the consciousness of the spiritual man who is unaware of separation, of divisions in time and space, or of the spell of the great illusion. It deals with the fact of immortality and with the unshatterable continuity of consciousness and life. It is this formula which, at the third initiation, produces the transfiguration, which comes when the eternal now is realized. Those who can add to the assets of civilization and culture the equipment required for the process of functioning as conscious souls, not only in the three worlds of instinctual and intellectual living, but in the world of spiritual being also, and yet with complete continuity of consciousness and with a complete triple integration.
This gives us a really wonderful description of the achievement of the third initiation, and should not give those who are not yet at that level too much pause, because each initiation reveals a continuity of consciousness in each of the vehicles. First, the physical; second, the astral emotional; and then the third, the mental vehicle, where that true integration is achieved. It's a beautiful description of the goal. Again, I'll pause the recording. So we had a wonderful sharing in relation to the potential and the ways in which we can utilize artificial intelligence to become more useful as a spiritual discernment tool for disciples and initiates in particular. Mary Gale, would you read for us, please?
Sure. Continuing continuity of consciousness, extracted from the Alice A. Bailey books, from James G. The Science of the Antakarana. This is the new and true science of the mind, which will utilize mental substance for the building of a bridge between personality and soul, and then between the soul and the spiritual triad. This constitutes active work in substance subtler than the substance of the three worlds of ordinary human evolution. It concerns the substance of the three higher levels of the mental plane. These symbolic bridges, when constructed, excuse me, will facilitate the stream or flow of consciousness and will produce that continuity of consciousness or that sense of unimpeded awareness, which will finally end the fear of death. The science of the Antakarana is concerned with the problem of the continuity of consciousness and with the problem of life and death. Keep these two themes clearly in your mind, for they are basic and important.
So these three higher levels of the mental plane, as we know, spiritual discernment, response to group vibration, and spiritual telepathy. Just keep those in mind in relation to the constitution of man. That substance is subtler, and this building of the bridge is the active work in that substance of spiritual discernment, response to group vibration, and spiritual telepathy. We'll pause again so that we can have some thoughts expressed. So it was expressed in our pause that one might consider the science of the Antakarana as the science of the growth of consciousness and continuity of consciousness. DK goes on to say that the main requirement is meditation, but as we know, it is not necessarily the set meditation of occult schools and churches. Membership in the group, however, requires the development of the reflective spirit along some line of human understanding. Those 7 lines that emanate from the hierarchy in terms of the Ray ashrams. It requires also the power to focus attention upon that which can serve humanity and a compassionate recognition of human need. I think of this as that integration and eventual fusion of the soul ray and personality ray. The unthinking man or woman, or those engrossed entirely in business, political, and family ties, cannot form a part of the new group of world servers because the group demands a definite measure of decentralization. To this, habits of meditation rapidly contribute. And I note for myself and for those that I've worked with and served with over the years, that in general, whatever meditations we learn in the occult schools or in the spiritual groups evolve so that one finds oneself meditating in a way that isn't set through those particular group activities, but becomes one's own meditation format or style, or, meditating through activities in the real world. I noticed this for myself when I was in a period of doing a lot of volunteer work in homeless shelters and with those groups who were serving the homeless shelters, the soup kitchens, the work with those who were living in poverty. And in being part of their process in, for example, serving a Thanksgiving meal to hundreds in a particular location, that it was almost as if that group of servers cycling in and out giving the meals to people were in a state it was almost a meditative state. And the expression of love and understanding and service was just, it permeated the whole space and brought forth from those receiving that service a light that was so real and so infused with the higher. It was a kind of a meditative experience. So we are given this beautiful image from the planetary system, and if you look at their website, you will note that their practice is of assertion and affirmation. And this, which can be envisioned as the new group of world servers, is accompanied by the affirmation and the assertion. We are one here and now, everywhere and always. We are the central human presence. We are the new group of world servers in communion with all men and women of goodwill. Ben, would you read this for us, please?
Members of all the ray types are to be found in the new group of world servers, either through the activity of the personality ray or of the soul ray. Therefore, the energies of all the rays are being brought to bear upon the creative period in modern human history. It is interesting to have in mind the fact that through the medium of all the fighting forces of the world, naval, military, and air, much needed hierarchical work is being accomplished. The energy of the fourth ray of harmony through conflict is making itself phenomenally felt, this time in conjunction with the usual activity, the unusual activity of the first ray. Therefore, through the forces of light, liberation into freedom will come, and it will mean the freedom of all mankind. I make here no defense of war or fighting, brother of mine. I simply deal with world conditions as they exist today, and with the processes and the methods which are characteristic of the civilizations which have already disappeared, and of the civilization out of which we are today emerging. As man leaves the animal, the strictly physical, and the highly emotional and flammable stages behind him, and learns to think, then and only then will war cease. Fortunately for humanity, this is happening most rapidly.
Let's sound the mantra of the new group of world servers. May the power of the one life pour through the group of all true servers. May the love of the one soul characterize the lives of all who seek to aid the great ones. May we fulfill our part in the one work through self-forgetfulness, harmlessness, and right speech. In moving forward, let us note again the advice of Master DK. All of the teaching, all that he gives, embodies a teaching and a theory. This has to be wrought out in the practical experiment and experience and conscious activity of the aspirant. Know thyself, proceed slowly and with caution, study effects. Cultivate the realization that eternity is long and that that which is slowly built up endures forever. And as we do, aim at regularity. With clear seeing, pure joyful will, and the death of personality desire, the keynotes of Taurus, we enter into a stage of recognition of illumination. So we move now into the potencies of Gemini on the keynotes of soul control, recognition of duality, and fluidity. So we're reminded by DK to repeat as part of the great invocation, the noontime mantram. We know, O Lord of life and love, about the need. Touch our hearts anew with love, that we too may love and give.
From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills. The purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out. And may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.
Om Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Dhyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om